speaking of supporting the arts, it's important to understand, um, you know, what it is that is keeping the arts going. Obviously, great nonprofits like Vanguard Culture is important, but also part of their initiative and vision is to bring more tourism into San Diego to attract arts and culture lovers. Um, but one thing that is working against attracting more tourists right now in San Diego is the ongoing homelessness crisis. And for the fifth straight month in a row, the number of homeless individuals on the streets of downtown San Diego has hit a record high. The Downtown San Diego Partnership counted 1,839 unhoused people and a record 671 tents on December 29th. So it's 5 months in a row. There have been record breaking numbers of homeless people in downtown San Diego. Here's a chart. Check it out. It's pretty crazy. And a part of the problem, at least in the short term, is there is consistently a shortage of homeless shelter beds available for those that do want it. The Voice of San Diego reported on this recently, and they write, and I quote, just 37% of the 6,620 referrals by outreach workers and police officers ultimately resulted in a homeless resident shelter being placed in shelter during a nearly 6 month period that ended in mid September. A Voice of San Diego analysis of shelter referrals routed through the San Diego Housing Commission reveals. That means nearly 2/3 of referrals in an average week did not lead to someone who wanted shelter moving into a bed, despite the push to add hundreds of city funded shelter beds over the last year. The leading cause of referrals going unfulfilled was simply that there weren't enough of them, said Lisa Jones, the Housing Commission's Executive Vice President of Strategic Initiatives. And in fact, the mayor, Todd Gloria, and I'm not quoting now, this is me talking. Mayor Todd Gloria said in his State of the City address last week that shelters are consistently 92% full. So having short term shelters allows those experiencing homelessness the stability to start doing what they need to do to eventually get back on their feet and get a roof over their heads. However, on the other side of the coin of the homelessness crisis is the lack of housing supply, but in particular, the lack of affordable housing. This lack of supply is causing the price of homes and rents to continue to skyrocket out of reach of everyday people, including many artists and arts and culture industry workers who are finding it harder and harder to make ends meet in San Diego, forcing them to leave and sapping our struggling arts and creative scene even more of fresh and much needed talent. And we have on this podcast previously detailed how the tech gentrification phenomenon did create a cost of living crisis in San Francisco. And we detailed how that wreaked havoc on the art scene there and how it is happening here now in San Diego. And this was on the podcast episode that aired live on August 20th in 2020. So go check it out on our YouTube if you do have time. Now, last week, Scott Lewis from Voice of San Diego penned an opinion piece detailing this phenomenon happening here in San Diego. in response to Mayor Todd Gloria's State of the City address. And in this piece titled, "Yes, Homelessness is a Housing Problem," he wrote the following, and I'm quoting. Let me get a drink of water here. And he wrote, "When we create jobs, we increase the demand for homes across the entire spectrum of affordability. You can't have a conversation about this without someone pointing out that the only homes we see being built are luxury or citing some high rent they saw in an ad. So let's draw this out. If a biotech company attracts $500 million in investment and begins hiring scientists and project managers and accountants at high salaries, those employees are going to find places to live. If they can't find one in Carmel Valley or Poway, they will bid up the prices of homes in a place like North Park or Del Cerro. People who make less, who may have hoped to live in North Park or Del Cerro, will find those homes out of reach and begin bidding up prices in Barrio Logan or Lemon Grove. It goes all the way down the ladder until somebody ends up on the ground," end quote. So this is an issue of unaffordable housing and skyrocketing cost of living. And that is why I am a supporter of the proposal to raise the inclusionary housing ordinance to require 25% of new real estate developments to be affordable housing units. Now, city officials, candidates, and politicians who do not support this proposal, while also taking massive amounts of campaign donations from the real estate industry, should be looked at with deep suspicion. Their rhetoric around supposedly increasing middle and upper middle class housing supply without support of stronger rent controls to protect San Diego's most vulnerable should be met with profound skepticism by the local arts community. Now, it is also notable that Mayor Todd Gloria did sign an executive order to prioritize permitting of development proposals that have 100% affordable units. Let us keep an eye on this, make sure he actually does implement what he says he wants to do, and also keep the pressure on him to continue to rapidly increase the available homelessness shelter beds to help your fellow human being. The Creative Buzz podcast is sponsored by Thumbprint Gallery. Thumbprint Gallery was founded in 2009. We curate monthly and pop-up art exhibitions featuring emerging mid-career and established artists with a focus on contemporary pop culture, nostalgia, urban art, and pop surrealism. The gallery seeks to provide an eclectic and engaging atmosphere to view art by bringing people together in appreciation and support of local, national, and international artists.